Oh, look at the notes.
I got some notes.
You got some notes.
Yeah.
You're such a good preparer.
Tallest podcast on earth. We're back, and we're here with Kevin Cape. Coach Kevin Cape.
I was worried you weren't going to remember my last name.
No, I remembered your last name.
Because you don't normally call me Kevin, even.
No, I don't. I call you Daddy. You call yourself Zaddy.
You should be calling me Zaddy.
Actually, you know what's funny? Kevin Cape, first of all, is my business coach. I would say that we're the friend I wish I had, like growing up, like as in college.
Say, bro, you have this friend.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
we're more than just
whippersnappers.
Yeah.
I don't think that would have been good for us
to be friends
at that age.
No. It's barely good that we're friends now, to be honest, dude.
No,
but thank God for you. You know, I would never have people who are just fully supporting my bad ideas like you do.
Exactly. I would be like amplifying them, exacerbating them.
But okay, first of all, wait. You know what? I'm thinking about this. I feel like you have to move back a little bit.
Move back? Why, you want me to look smaller?
No. But also, if we're
trying to look bigger than me, bro?
Well, no, you're definitely bigger than me.
No, bro, just because I'm
specifically
fat.
in the midsection.
In the belly. Like this?
No, and your legs too.
No, bro, you're jacked.
I'm not jacked. I don't think so. I think I have. You also look like you have fists that know how to punch. I don't. You know what I mean?
I do be punching fools. It's been a long time. Speaking of college,
since you've punched anyone.
Yeah,
why don't you tell everyone how old you are?
I'm 39. I'm almost 40.
39, almost 40.
Oof.
And by the way, he's not just any business coach. He's also someone who played volleyball, which is pretty cool.
I did play volleyball. I was on the volleyball team. The playing part was like not exactly my specialty.
You never started a game?
So my fourth year, I started a whole season. We went to Hawaii back in my day. I don't know how it is now, but back in my day, we would, for Hawaii and BYU, we would do Wednesday, Friday night games so that you only had to do one trip.
Yeah, I think they still do. It's 2 in a row. Like we did Saturday, Sunday.
So we lost on Wednesday. I wasn't starting. Don't worry, we lost on Friday too. But on Thursday practice in between, I remember I was on the back line. I dove for a ball, and my arm got like kind of stuck on the sport court in a weird way. Tweaked my shoulder pretty bad. And Al Knipe was our coach then too. Al never talked to me. Al comes over to me after we practice. I'm like, oh, fuck. He's like, how's that shoulder? Al does not ever give a shit about my shoulder. I was like, it's fine. It's great. He's like, you're starting tomorrow. I was like, Jesus Christ.
So your first match you started, you were injured for?
Busted ass shoulder. Bro, I should show you the video because it was in Hawaii.
Oh, we'll link it in the description below, dude. There's no doubt.
No, I fucking balled out in that game. But at the beginning, you know, because Hawaii is
Just bring it up a little closer to your mouth, too. I know that we do this with a lot of guests. Don't worry. Yeah, right there's nice.
So, you know, because, like, Hawaii's serious about volleyball, they do, like, the commentators, and they put it on TV. So when we got home...
Wait, just to be clear, Hawaii Volleyball does the best commentating production of volleyball in America, without a doubt.
I felt like I was like an NFL player.
That's cool that they used to do that back in the Stone Age, too, you know?
Yeah, bro. Well, you know, that was like analog. They didn't even have digital video back then. They had the guy on the side with the crank.
That's sick.
They're like, hey, don't move too quickly when you're blocking on the pins.
And side note, you were also a middle blocker.
I was a middle blocker. I was a little tiny baby middle blocker. Actually, that'll be the end of this story, actually. Okay. So they're doing like the lineups at the beginning. And they're, let's take a look at the Long Beach State 49ers starters tonight. And they're going down the lineup, and they get to me, and they go, number 22, middle blocker, Kevin Cape. Let's see what's going on with this lineup change, Bob. And they go, let's take a look at Cape's stats from last year. They're like, he's got 1 kill, 1 block, and no digs. What do you think Al's thinking here, Bob? That just slayed me, bro. It was so bad. And then I got in and I hit like 80%. I was like 11 for 12. And they're like, who is this guy?
Yeah, that's a good feeling. Did you play more games after that?
I started the whole season. I had the highest hitting percentage in the nation. And then right before the playoffs, I got benched.
Because of your bad attitude, probably?
No, I had the best attitude, bro. So I go into Al's office. And I'm like, I'm ready to do the good attitude thing. And I'm like, Al, I'm not arguing with you. I'm not here to disagree. Your team, and I support the team, and like whatever we got to do. I just need to know what I have to do to get back on the court, like full, like.
I've been there, dog.
He fucking leans back in his chair. He literally puts his feet up on his desk and like arms behind his head. He's like, Kevin, you've done everything we asked you to do this season. And he kind of pauses. He's like, you've done a lot more than we've asked you to do this season. You're just too small.
No way.
Straight up.
Dude, do you know how many hearts you're breaking hearing this story right now?
Well, now it's cool to be a small middle.
That's true.
It was like 4 years after me, all of a sudden small middles were fucking the coolest thing.
And I'll be honest, I still lump myself in that category. Now, I feel like college small middle, like we always had a middle who was like 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", but jumped like out of the roof. You probably jumped pretty good then, huh?
Not jump out of the room.
That's crazy because those freaking thicky claws would say something
yeah,
else.
these stands, baby.
Tell a different story to me.
You know, I put in a lot of work since then, just in case.
Dude, laughing in my ab cramps so bad. I'm cramping right now. This is
because I heard I still have a shot in the India League, so I've been prepping.
Yeah, you do
for
have
20
a shot.
years.
In fact, anyone out there listening, dude, I think it's called Prime Volley.
Prime Volley, yeah.
Recruit Kevin.
I'm ready.
If you think you're interested in playing volleyball, this goes for my dad because I know he's listening. Like, this is your chance to do it, dude. Especially you, Dad. Just got that hip surgery. They're gonna love to hear how you've recovered. You know,
I have a shoulder surgery. You know.
Actually, I don't know. I don't know what the competition is like in India. I have no idea.
It's probably a little too stiff for me.
From the rosters I've seen, it looks like it's very doable, though.
I don't know, man.
Well, did you not play with David Lee?
I played against David Lee like every day in practice.
Did you guys like each other?
I respected him.
Here we go, dude.
No, I love Dave Lee, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I love him too. Like,
I don't know if I should tell this story or not, but
well, we can cut anything out that you eventually don't feel good about.
So my favorite Dave Lee story. We're gonna have to get his approval on this. It's not that bad, but so I used to live in a house with let's just say a number of guys, because
there you go. Be as vague as you feel necessary. You know,
a number of guys that I played with at Long Beach, and we had like the cool party house. It was like the best house to have parties at.
Because you were a rascal. I can imagine you being a rascal in college.
Yeah, I'm still a bit of a rascal, but I was like quite the rascal in college.
Mm-hmm. And stay tuned to figure out how you can use that for your business. For real though, we're gonna get into some fun stuff. I feel like later, but continue. Sorry.
So I come out into the backyard, and it's like everybody's there milling around, and Dave Lee is walking around with a watermelon in his arm, cradled like a baby. And I was like, Dave, what are you doing with that? And he goes, I'm gonna crack this on somebody's head tonight.
Did he?
We had this guy on our team, a libero, Tyler Caldwell. He was like the shortest guy at the party.
Yeah.
And I had my friend come over, and he brought some of his friends. Well, one of his friends at one point decides to like try to pick on Caldwell, and he like pushed him to start a fight, and Dave Lee's eyes just lit up. Apparently, I didn't actually see it happen.
Okay. It's even better that you can just make up the details, honestly.
Well, no, here's how I found out. So we wake up in the morning and go to clean up, and this guy was wearing a very distinct hat. And his hat was still in the backyard, covered in watermelon seeds and like watermelon flesh.
My God.
Dave, did you crush that watermelon on that guy's head that pushed Caldwell? He's like, first thing that happened after he pushed him, I just slammed it on his head.
Dude, what a good guy, dude. And what a great situation to be where you just happened to have that watermelon on you.
He manifested that.
That's amazing.
He manifested that. He said,
and you're a big believer in manifestation, are you not?
I mean, ever since that day. I owe it all to Dave Lee. No, I love Dave Lee. I legit love Dave Lee. He was very frustrating to play against as a second teamer.
Yeah, he was really good. I actually don't know if he was really good in college or if he got really good once he hit the world stage. But
I don't know if I have like the ability to evaluate that. But from my perspective, trying to fucking stop him every day at practice, he was really good.
Yeah, he was good.
I don't think I ever blocked him once.
Did you ever throw a watermelon, by the way?
No.
Never?
Never. I don't think he threw it. I think he slammed it.
It's got to be the best feeling, though.
Yeah, dude, the crack, especially.
Dude, since I was a kid, going to like a Safeway, you know, and it'd be summertime and they'd have the like 2-for-1 watermelon sale in front of the Safeway. You know, I always wanted to grab one of those little fuckers and give it a whirl, dude.
Well, let's go now.
I'll be honest, though. When I was a kid, I was a bit of a rascal. I did throw. We did this thing where I had some buddies who lived when I was from San Jose in Palo Alto, and we would take fruit and like have different cars, and we would drive around like the neighborhood, like searching for each other. And then when you found each other, like outside the window, like throwing kiwis at each other, like each other's cars, like real stupid shit, dude.
I love that.
You know what's funny? I gave this story, like a similar story about us throwing like water balloons at cars to my to not get him in trouble. to an older colleague.
The names of the guilty will be hidden to protect.
Let's just say an athletic trainer I had. And dude, I remember him saying like, dude, I did the same thing when I was a kid. What is it about the youthful boys that want to just destroy shit? You got a kid too, right? Around that age? How old your
Bro,
son?
mobbing around New York City. That kid is mobbing around New York City.
That's terrifying.
I know, dude. Taking the train. He's good though, dude. He's like a city kid now.
Really?
But yeah, back in my day, we took, like when you go to In-N-Out and they give you the brown to-go box.
Yeah.
We would take 2 of those and we'd go over to the ketchup pump and just the whole thing up. And then it was like
Doesn't
a ketchup
it fall
bomb.
out the sides because it's got the little... No, they were boxed in.
Braden, if you're watching this, you're going to be so grounded.
Wait, so what do you do? What do you do?
And what we did is as a car was driving back, we would go in the left turn lane. We're going to have to cut this.
No, we don't have to cut anything. I've admitted to enough to get me in jail for sure. And I would not do good in jail, you know?
We would go in the left turn lane, and when they drove by in the next lane over, we just throw it out the window and they would drive into it. They drove into it.
That's right. But I think it's important to keep some of this stuff in this conversation because a big thing that I've learned from you is
we can all grow.
We can all grow.
We can all grow, thank God.
And you know what? Thank God you made those mistakes, dude.
Yeah.
Because when would you ever be able to tell that story other than right now with me, you know what I mean? And everyone who's listening, which is probably nobody,
30-year reunion.
Which they're going to be missing out, dude.
They better be listening.
I'll have to come up with a good title, I feel like, because I think your perspective on the world and business and life and stuff is so great.
So far... Not convincing.
Not a good look.
Not convincing.
Yeah, let's see. Let's get to the
Go to
stuff.
the notes.
Yeah, let's talk about fairness. You think that what do we know about fairness with you here? You think you want things to be fair, right? Like you really believe in fairness, and that was probably one of my worst bits of all time. Just trying to throw you a softball.
Why fairness?
Why
fairness?
No, sorry. Let me go back. We'll cut that.
Because bro, no. I'll go full philosophical.
You've made people millions of dollars. How'd you do it? Something for people to wipe all of that bullshit.
No. I want to go back to fairness. I feel like this is fun.
I wasn't. I didn't. That was a made up one.
It's really not even on there.
That hurt me so much that I even said that. That wasn't good at all. I was trying to loft you something about making you not look like an asshole.
No, I'm an asshole.
Okay. Well, in that case,
but I really love people.
Yeah, you do.
I'm a paradox.
Yeah, aren't we all?
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
See? Now we're deep.
Well, so I wrote a few things down with you. And the first thing I wrote down was ungovernable. And when I think of that word, I got to be honest, I don't even think I ever used that word in a sentence, saw the word at all until I met you. But that seems to be your coined term other than...
I've got the tattoo here. It says become ungovernable.
In order to do that, you need...
And there's a horse.
A dog?
It's a horse.
That's a horse. Dude, no joke from right here. I thought this was the dog. I thought this was like a little dog, and he was wearing a helmet or like a sweater.
Well, so it's a German horse from the Olympics.
Okay.
I want to say it was 2016, and the horse was it had to be more like 2020, and the horse was not cooperating, and the German coach, a little closer.
That's perfect.
Is 2020 Olympics. The German horse was freaking out. And the German coach started punch the horse basically. It was abusing the animal. And there's this picture of the rider on the horse sobbing, and the horse's eyes are crazy, and the horse would not be. The horse is no, you don't fucking treat me that way. Ruined the whole rider's performance and everything. So that rider basically got a goose egg in the competition because the horse would not have this behavior. And there's a meme of it, of the rider crying and the horse the crazy eyes.
Crack eyes.
And it just has become ungovernable. And I saw that meme and I said, that's my meme and my soul in a meme.
Wow.
And I got a tattoo
And how do you feel you apply, how do you feel you apply that in a way now with?
Well, I mean,
because kids around the world right now are seeing that and they're thinking, fuck you, mom, dude. I'm ungovernable, dude.
Okay, so...
Which, by the way, kids, you shouldn't be listening to this show. And based on the previous episode I just put out, you definitely shouldn't be listening. You could consider this an Adult Swim episode.
NC-17. Listen, I think you should be mostly ungovernable kids, even with your parents, but do it respectfully. Here's my thing. Authority comes from where and why. I think we want to be safe. And it's safe to trust an authority to go, okay, well, an authority can tell me what to do. Like when you're a kid, especially when you're a little kid, like it's how you survive is your parent and the adults in your community they keep you safe and they guide you. And that's, you're this weird little blob of a baby. Like you're trying to figure it out. As you grow and grow up, I don't know, start like thinking for yourself and decide like what's right for you. And, you know, like to some degree there are boundaries, but we're so constrained by like what I should do and what I shouldn't do and what I'm supposed to do. And in my business, for instance, I talk a lot about like the relationship between wants and gets. And
by the way, I looked you up, which I probably should have done before I started working with you, but that's just how much I trust my friends.
That's what's up.
And your title is like leadership coach.
Yeah. So,
I didn't like it, dude.
You don't like it?
I don't know, because I think when leadership seems so specific to me, and I think you have so much more value than just like.
It depends where you saw that. So I typically don't say. I mean, look, it's everything from like results coach to executive coach. I don't vibe with life coach. You could say leadership coach and like including self.
Why don't you vibe with life coach?
Come on, bro.
It feels corny.
It's like so cheesy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think so many people are out here like life coaching. I'm like, no hate, no shade. But like a lot of them like, I don't know. I can't coach. Hey, here's why.
Hey.
No, here we go.
Wait.
Here we go.
Hey,
no, I'm ready. I got the answer.
I'm with you, buddy.
No, I can't coach you on your life.
Right.
That would be you being governable. Because I'm not the authority on your life. So I can't coach you on that. I can coach you on producing results. And like my whole business is about what do you want? And then whatever you say, I'm going to go get it with you.
Hey, for those of you who don't own businesses and you're just a volleyball player, figure it out. You know what I mean? Like take everything we're saying.
Do a Google search.
And like figure out that you can apply it to volleyball, you know? Because I think originally when I was going to bring you on, I was like, all right, what's the angle of like, how can I make this appealing for volleyball players? And then what I realized right away is like, this is all relevant.
Yeah.
And I just had this with a podcast I just recently did where it's like, everything is everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The parallels all over the place. So,
well, especially this is like, what do you want your life to look like?
Yeah.
And a lot of people know what they don't want. But at the same time, people will think they want something. And then when you get it, you're like, that actually wasn't as awesome as I thought it was going to be. But I still say, whatever you want, just go get it. Because it's the quickest path to figuring out if you actually want it or not. Or if it's worth the work to get to it. And if you just like, I don't know what I want. Okay, nobody actually knows what they want. But like, you know, you've got an idea on a few things. Give it your best shot and go find out.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, myself included for a while, was like paralyzed over not knowing exactly what I wanted.
It's tough.
Like, what do you get? What kind of advice would you give to someone who feels that way?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you like know for sure that's what you want. You're going to learn enough along the way. And sometimes you have to walk to that place of something you like maybe want in order to realize what you really want. And you can't control it. A lot of it is surrender. The universe just goes, boop, here you go. Here's the lesson, or here's the thing, or here's the epiphany or the realization. So like, don't be so precious with it. Like, oh, but it has to be. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
It's all a game, dude. The whole thing's made up.
Yeah.
Just play.
Yeah. And I think that's probably one of the things I've really taken away from you is the importance of just start. I mean, this is a great example. Like the lighting's not perfect.
What?
This is like,
I think it's beautiful.
The mirror's back here. It's not, dude. Your face would look way better. You know what I mean? For you, it would be way better if we had good lighting in here. For me, it's great. I mean, the light is actually facing me. You know, I look a little red in this. It's fine. But I really feel like this idea of like just starting, and it's so hard because we live in a world of like TikTok porn and like, you know, for example, when you and I had met, I was interested in like doing a podcast and starting a mentorship business and starting an account. Like we had ideas. I had ideas for things. And the first thing you had me do, which I guess we're kind of veering off a little bit, but the first thing you had me do was like write out kind of like an extensive note to myself, like something I feel like I hadn't done since like 5th grade. It made me real mad. I was like, this is like some bullshit, dude. I'm in fucking school, you know. But you had me write down like really specific, and I remember at that time being like, why should I have this specific number that I want to make, or like, because I don't care. I just want to do what I love. But like, why did you find that? Why do you find that that's a very valuable thing to do, to be super detailed and specific with what you want? Even though like you're most likely it's not going to look like it does on paper.
Yeah.
You know?
When you get specific about what you want, you can make a plan to go get it. And so even if that's not exactly what you want, or it might turn out that you want more or less of that thing, a lot of times it's money. Getting specific about it allows you to craft a plan, and crafting a plan allows you to take steps forward. And so that's probably half of it. The other half of it is human beings are motivated by stories. And so when you write a story, when you get specific, part of that exercise is, let's say you want to make $10,000 a month. I never have clients write $10,000 a month. It's like, over the last 3 months, I've averaged $10,122.16, because it just feels, you never actually average 10,000, right? Like the world doesn't operate in those even numbers like that. And so doing a weird number makes you feel like, oh, I can like see my own story unfolding. And part of what's crazy is we don't realize we can just create our lives. It sounds like weird and esoteric and like, but you can literally just, you don't have to react to everything. You can say, this is the life that I want, and then go create it. And when people figure that out and experience that for the first time, they're like, this is wild.
Yeah. So now, like, getting from the importance of writing out, first being really detailed with yourself. Like, do you find that people get this wave, and I definitely was, where it's like embarking any new adventure, you know? You're so fucking excited. We're going to sail from east to west, you know? And then the first wave comes, you know, or like then it's dark and I don't know, you're fucking scared of the dark. You're like, why did I do this? I should have brought a lamp or something, you know?
Yes.
But I want to talk.
Should have brought a lamp. There's no plug on this ship.
Hey, by the way, today's supposed to be, made me think of the moon. Today's
blue moon.
Yeah.
Super blue moon.
Super blue moon.
Super.
That's exciting.
Blue moon.
We should go look at it, dude, later.
We'll do it.
We definitely should. That's cool.
Okay. After we smash that watermelon.
Yeah, dude. We'll go to Gelson's and get a giant watermelon.
You know what we should do? We should make a video. You got keep an eye out. This is going to be on Taylor's Instagram and his TikTok. And I'll hold the camera. I'll be the Instagram boyfriend.
Thank you.
And you're going to hold the watermelon up, and we'll do it in such a way that it covers the moon entirely. And then you drop the watermelon and reveal the moon.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, art.
That is cool. We're going to film it in the dark at night, dude. I love that. I actually am hoping that the moon is so bright that it's potentially surfable. Not saying I would go do it. Ooh. Depends what traffic's like or how bright it really is. But I've done that once in Santa Cruz, and I missed out an opportunity to do it in Malibu, where like the sun or the moon is so bright that it actually like illuminates and you can like see the water and go surfing.
Yeah. So I think that's interesting from what we were just talking about.
Let's go back to that.
About what you want. Those are the kind of moments where it's like, don't squander those moments. Like there's something in your soul that knows you love that. Like, don't squander that.
Man, you make me think about, I want to go in like 1,000 different directions, but I do want to talk about like relationship to work. Mm-hmm. And I think something like a big lesson I've taken from you is that like who you are or how much you like to have fun or fuck around, like doesn't need to be separate from the work. And I think that was like a really eye-opening moment for me, because I think especially in the business that that I'm in currently, you know, of like, hey parents, let me work with your kids. Yep. Then like, you know, talking about jizz and like things that you like.
You're just going to work that into every podcast now?
I guess so, dude. It's fresh on my mind, honestly. No, but you know, like trying to find ways of like, Kevin, I can't be my authentic self and have this business.
Yeah.
I'm interested to know from you, like, why did you recommend? Because I think you've always been someone, not to say that you support me talking about jizz to, you know, anyone under the age of 18. By the way, parents, nor would I ever do that with your kids. I'm kind of digging a hole for myself right now. I'm going to climb out of it.
Yeah. No cutting.
No, but like, you know, trying to be like, and I think I've always, and you seem to be someone who's always like prided themselves and like really being an authentic version of themselves. Did you struggle with that? Like being authentically you, and also as someone who like worked in like a corporate world or deals with corporate type people, like feeling like you had to like be a certain way, or you can't eat and be on a call, or had to, I don't know, like what struggles did you? Yeah.
Big time. So let me rub the lucky cat. So I think like I was actually just talking to Tyler Hildebrand about this the other night. The head coach of the women's program at Long Beach State, who I played with at Long Beach. And we were talking about how you when you first get into your craft, You study, 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 you practice, apply, reflect, and study, practice, right? And it's like you're like so deep in it. And then you get to a point where you're like, every new piece of information I absorb kind of has a lot of parallels to everything I've already studied. And so you start to see all the themes, and like it's hard to learn a lot of new things. You kind of have the bulk of the expertise worked out. And then for that to matter and have an impact, you have to get other people to buy into it and do it. And the reality is, like, there's not really a right or wrong way to be a person. There's like maybe a wrong way to be a person if you're mistreating other people or you're interrupting other people's personhood. Not a big fan of that. But as long as you're not interrupting other people's ability to be themselves or like hurting other people actively,
right,
then the world is filled with different types of people, and your unique way of delivering expertise is important to the people who are like you that don't feel like they're like other people. Like, I get this guy, I understand this guy understands me. I'm willing to absorb his expertise. And like, especially with you, that's what we always talked about, because you are willing to come on here and have a personality and take some risks and be yourself. What I hate about professionalism, and this isn't just working with a pro volleyball player launching a volleyball business, this is with every business that I work with, no matter how established they are. We cannot let professionalism be defined by, we strip away all our humanness. We absolutely have no individuality, and we're just a bunch of suits like, what's his name? The bad guy in...
Joker.
No, no, he's the opposite, bro.
He wears a suit, though.
He just wears a suit, a cool one, a purple one, I think.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about in The Matrix, Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson.
Just a bunch of Mr. Andersons walking around. No, that's not fun. And so my whole thesis is like professionalism is actually about deciding what results we need to produce for the business to be successful. And then we're allowed to just be ourselves along the way. Because when you make professionalism about like how you look like a professional or like how you have all these traits of a professional, and this is my whole issue with leadership, is anytime someone does leadership development, it's like, this is the qualities of a leader. This is how you be a leader. I don't care about how to be a leader. I care about how to do leadership. And it's just a better life when we get to show up as ourselves. But I also think, like, in your business, you're going to be better able to help a kid who's like, this is awesome. This guy gets me. He's not some boring, doesn't understand me, old coach that just like is out here robotically repeating the expertise. Like, I can connect with this guy and he understands me. And so like, that's the real magic of it. But I struggle with that too. Yeah. When I was like, I don't know, are these ideas good ideas? Do they work? You know, I'm at the point now where I've seen them work with my clients, and I've, don't charge a small amount of money, but they make a lot more money than I charge. And then I go, these ideas work. When people use these ideas, they work. And so like part of my bit when I, do sales calls, like my first sales call, I always make sure I'm just in a t-shirt and I've got some of my tattoos showing, because I want them to know, like, hey man, this is what you're getting into. I'm not gonna put on a suit, and you're not gonna get a hold of me on the weekends unless it's like an absolute emergency.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not gonna play into all of that, because I have to be a leader to my clients to show like, hey, look, we are gonna be ourselves here. Allowing people to be like their own human personalities is really important. And I have to model that. And so I have to be willing to bring myself to the table and act exactly as I'm going to act and be who I'm going to be, so that they can see, okay, well, this guy still helps me produce results. So.
Were you like that from the beginning?
No.
So what was the development like for you?
As I saw the expertise actually working for the clients is when I went, okay, so what actually matters here? It's not working for them because I show up in a suit. It's working for them because I say, do this.
You probably look pretty fucking hot in a suit.
I do look great in a suit.
I can guarantee it.
Yeah, I'm going to be banging a suit on Sunday. I don't know. I might go a little bit like, I've got a wedding I'm going to on Sunday. I might go a little bit like alternative fashions deal. Yeah, I don't know.
What does that look like?
I don't know. I've got some like wide leg pants. The kids these days.
I mean, I could see you in shorts, to be honest.
No skinny jeans anymore,
You do a really good job at like the 16-inch inseam kind of shorts,
16?
16-inch inseam. It was another way of saying short shorts.
16 is like long. These are 4-inch, probably 5-inch inseam. Should we show?
All right, well, you can show them, but like I just bought.
Look at these gams.
Yeah, they're absolutely constricting your quads right now, dude. Like I said, you got the beef. You got so much beef in there.
Shout out to the Fort NYC for these quads.
Sick. No. First of all, then I don't understand how inseam works because I just bought a pair of rip curl, like, kind of like old school lazy days kind of shorts.
Yeah.
And they said 16-inch inseam, and they're like
this
short.
Didn't say outseam.
Could be outseam.
Because inseam is from your crotch to the bottom of the short,
Mm-hmm.
and then outseam would be from your hip to the bottom.
100%
of the short.
outseam, dude.
Is this a fashion podcast?
Well, I just learned something. That's crazy. My
You're
girlfriend
welcome.
is in fashion, doesn't teach me anything. So thank you.
Should we get her out here?
We can't for reasons we shouldn't talk about. You know, she's gonna be super mad if I talk about it. We won't, dude. If she comes out, I'll be happy though. You know.
Okay, cool.
So if she comes out at some point, I'll be real happy though.
That's good. What were we talking about?
I mean, I don't know, dude. I think for me, the part that I like when I look into your eyes, you know, what comes through to me is like someone who has your back and supporting you in areas that I felt like I had to change. And I remember, I mean, I kind of already gave the example of like, you know, putting out, like for me, I'm learning a lot too about like putting out content and putting in the work and being okay with like, I think you mentioned earlier, like it doesn't all need to be like perfectly wrapped before you present it, that like just present it right now with no notes, learn from that, and then you'll be better the next time and the next time. We're so afraid to take that first step. And I remember with like, you know, posting content and making content kind of being like, I swore there, that was like maybe a little sexual or a little silly, like too much in one way, you know, like that parent that's going to see me. I mean, I remember sending you, I don't know if I sent you a message or not, but like I posted something from the podcast and I swore in it. Mm-hmm. And some dad or mom like commented this huge thing on how like, oh, never have my kids work with you, you're swearing and shit. And I remember like being so hurt by it, being like, fuck. Being like, fuck. Being like, you know, maybe they're right, because it's weird. I feel like specifically with me, I'm in a weird position of like, yes, I'm trying to help the youth. I'm also trying to be the kid that I wish I had when I was 15, 16, 17, 18. And I would have loved the guy at that age, at least, who like talked about drugs or swore or like who he used to be, or like I really related with that. And I didn't really have that figure in my life at that age. I guess the point I was making is like, after I saw that comment, I was like, whoa, should I change? Because I can, you know, like I grew up in a Christian household. I know how to wear a mask, you know, like I know how to like be more proper. And if I'm meeting my girlfriend's family, I won't swear at all. You know, like I know how to do that. But it's so crazy. You talk about being ungovernable. Now I'm kind of at a stage where I'm like, why should I ever have to do that? Don't get me wrong. And for those of you listening, dude, I'm still learning. You know, I don't have it all figured out. I'm still
Taylor has it all
dude.
figured out. Trust me.
I'm still, and that's the thing, right? Is like, I'm putting myself out there to be judged. They're just going to see a clip. What they don't understand, unless they're an earth dweller, an earthling, and they follow this podcast, is like, I'm pretty open about, like, I'm figuring that out. Yeah, I'm figuring, like, who knows, maybe a year from now I'll be like, that's too inappropriate, or like, man, I can't believe I was holding back so much. But like, I'm openly trying to accept that there's going to be judgment from different corners, and that I don't care as long as I don't say something that's really going to get me canceled, you know, that I really shouldn't say. Yes. Like, I don't know. I'm trying my best to be myself in the process, you know?
Yeah, I have some thoughts. Please. I have some thoughts. So my kid is 15. I have a 15-year-old son, and I cuss with him because I know he's cussing with his friends. Like, me acting like cussing is bad at his age doesn't make him not cuss. It maybe changes his relationship with cussing in a way that's not helpful. Cussing is a valuable tool. It's like a punctuation of emotion. And do we want to just crassly be running around and just throwing a slew of I don't know. Maybe you do. And if you're someone who does, like, and that offends people, oh well. And my whole thing is, be who you want to be. And if you want an indication, like a sign that you're probably doing pretty good at being who you want to be, you've got to have some haters. And look, I feel for the parents who commented and are worried about, our son will never work with you. I mean, good. But at the same time, like, God, that poor kid is,
for the kids too.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I feel bad for the kids. And it's just like,
by the way, because to me, it's not about just go swear. It's about like, if that is how you feel, like you feel like a person who uses those words, not feeling shame for using them.
Well, and I mean,
as long as it's not bringing anyone down.
Exactly.
Like, there's obvious answers to that. But.
Well, look, when we talk about canceling, for instance, a lot of canceling happens because people are being insensitive towards the pain of other people. And if you try to make the case to me that curse words are me being insensitive towards your pain, I'm going to struggle with that.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're creating that pain for yourself.
You're a logical guy.
I'm a pretty logical guy most of the time.
You're reasonable.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
But I just, man, I mean, like, there's no right or wrong way to be. Again, other than just don't hurt other people and don't get in the way of other people's personhood, which is why I would say, like, okay, it's so good that you know that not cursing is important to you. I mean, whatever. I have questions about that. But if you know that not cursing is important to you, then your kid shouldn't work with Taylor.
I think about, like, as I'm hearing you say that, and I think about leadership, because now I'm looking at you through the lens of leadership, because I didn't know you were an executive leadership coach or whatever title you had on there. That's absolute bullshit, but it's fine. No, I mean, I think about, like, as I get older too, like how hard it must be to be a coach of like a team where you have the Kevins who are, on the weekend smashing watermelons or whatever, like that wasn't you smashing it, but who really knows, what you decided to tell or not.
Yeah.
And then you have the people who are more proper and who do, or yes coach kind of people, like trying to, and I'm sure you've worked with groups maybe where like people have such different personalities. Like, how do you get, I guess we're getting more into like team building, functioning, but like, how do you get people to function together who are like the fact, dude, I think about this literally all the time. It's just like, I'll be driving, like in traffic is where it gets brought up. I'm driving in traffic and I'm like, I'll have this moment of just like, I can't believe we're all doing this. Like, I can't believe that like we all have the craziest different backgrounds and traumas come from all over the world. And we've just decided we're all going to do this thing together. And for the most part, we don't crash into each other.
Yep.
But it's crazy,
Yep. Well, I think the team thing is interesting because for the most part, we have to do our work and do it well so that we get paid and we can live. But the reality is, with the productivity tools we've created and like the technological advances in the last 50 years, we could set up society where everyone didn't have to work. Like, we really could.
Okay, get into this. I'd love to hear this.
But human beings, like, we kind of need something to do, and we really like doing it together. We really like doing it together. And I would say, yes, leading a team is difficult, but it's, for the most part, simple, which there's often a strong correlation between the two. The simpler a thing is, the more challenging it tends to be. So, for instance, if you're leading a team, the number one thing you can do to make that team successful is paint a clear picture of success. So the terminology we use is craft a compelling vision of the future. And for instance, when I have you do that exercise at the beginning of the program, where you craft a compelling vision of the future, you're learning how to lead yourself that way, and then you can eventually lead a team that way. And then from there, you trust in the human spirit and the genius and ingenuity of the people on your team. And so it feels like, as a leader, like you have to be the authority in the top and you have to, you actually don't. Leaders freak out because what they realize is leadership is doing some certain things and then mostly referring back to those things. So crafting a compelling vision of the future, putting it out to the team, getting the team bought into it. The team might say, I don't like this part. We should improve it here. Can we add this? Let's take that out. And you want the team's input on that. And you could do this in a volleyball setting. You could say, hey, we're going to JOs in July. What's our compelling vision of the future? What's a successful JOs for us? And everyone could contribute to that. And you could have like a team journal entry.
We do that on the national team, dude.
You hate it. You hate it.
I do. But you're so right. There's a lot of things that maybe I have a feeling towards in the beginning. For example, like with the national team, it was like before World Champs in like 2018 or something, we did like, what are the 3 words that are going to like represent us? And it was like trust and grit. And I was just like, oh my God, dude, please. But I think to that point, I think it is also a challenge and also very much worth doing, which is getting everyone on the same page and bought into the same thing.
I think it's an interesting demonstration of how the same expertise connects with you or doesn't based on the relationship you have with the person delivering it to you. Literally identical expertise, because we operate from a proprietary leadership model. Right? So we say this is how you do leadership. These are the 5 behaviors of leadership. And behavior 2 is craft a compelling vision of the future, but behavior 1 is be about something, like grit. So it's so powerful to have different people operating in their authentic way of being, so that the other people who are like that or similar can connect to that and access the expertise. I bet you're leaving expertise on the table because you have a certain opinion about...
What do you mean leaving expertise on the table, dude?
I bet there are things at the national team that you're like, I don't like that. And you're leaving expertise on the table because you've
already... What does it mean, leaving expertise on the table?
Like you could be benefiting from that. If you were to like lean into that and go, okay, this is powerful. Okay, I'm going to give it a shot. Okay. If this were to work, how would it work, and how would I engage with making it work? I don't know, man.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I'm getting better at that.
I know you are.
You know, I really am. And this is like another subject I wanted to bring up, which is kind of this idea of like, I wanted to call it like separating your emotions from doing the work. But I think I'd rather call it, after like working a lot with Jose and yourself, and like more like accepting your emotions and doing the work.
Are you going to tell the audience who Jose is?
Jose is our therapist.
Our therapist. We don't do group sessions.
Dude, you know what though?
That would be fun.
That would be really fun.
You're all tangled up.
I could really like get inside your mind, you know? But like, I don't even like calling him a therapist because he's something different, and it's so untraditional compared to like cognitive talk therapy. But man, this last couple of months for me has been insane. And you know, in May, I made a video about depression. You know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy how quickly things can change. But to that point, and something, you know, I think in a lot of ways you were like my business coach, but ended up being more like my life coach, let's say. No, dude. But like, you know, I think a big part of that for me was like understanding that some days I wake up and I don't want to fucking go to the thing. Some days I wake up, I can't wait to go to the thing. And then I get to the thing and someone says something, it pisses me off. I don't want to do the fucking thing anymore. Yeah. And I feel like you've found a way to help me recognize that I don't have to shame myself for being like, I was so frustrated. And because I was frustrated, then I was watching myself in third person, just like be frustrated, which is true. Like I've had days where I'm practicing and I'm frustrated because training was 3 hours today and it could have been an hour 45 and we did a lot of standing around, or we trained too slow, or whatever things bother me about the training. And then I catch it early and I'm like, I'm so frustrated. I hate this so much. And I get nothing from the day, rather than finding a way to be like, I'm so frustrated. How exciting that I get to go through this practice, put in the work with the thing I'm doing, and still remain frustrated.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you brought up shame, because for a long time, my whole thesis was shame's the issue, right? Like you have emotions, they come up. Why are we choosing to experience shame about it? And I have a lot of theories about that, but without getting into like the sociology of it. I also work with a creativity coach. You know this, actually. I'm going to get you set up with her, Sylvia. She recently had me do an exercise that Jose has had me do with other emotions where I like went on a date with shame. And I asked shame some questions, and shame asked me some questions, and like me and shame got on the same page. And by the end of it, I like, dude, you would resonate with this. I was like begrudging, like, no, shame's the enemy. Fuck shame. This is trash. Blah, blah, blah. And then by the end, I was like, okay, fine, shame. I get it. We're homies. You're here to protect me. You just want to take care of me. And now my relationship with shame is like, I mean, I'm still learning also, but like light years different. And so I'm no longer, shame was kind of like the last emotion I was still rejecting. And now I'm like, no, shame is an emotion that has a role in my life, and I'm going to use it powerfully.
As someone who creates such beautiful descriptions, do you have like a description of what it might look like?
What shame might look like, or like what shame's role in my life is?
Yeah, what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean.
No. When you took it on a date. What it look like, dude? Was it like ripping a cig and it had like I don't know? Was
No. Shame would never rip a cig because Shame couldn't be a dude with a dress on either because Shame has to conform. Right? Shame has to conform to the norms.
Like a giant 6-foot chameleon.
Yeah, but like more like not a chameleon because
I'm fucking.
No, I like this exercise. Let me do it.
Okay.
Because a chameleon changes. Shame, there are norms that they're not changing. The norms aren't changing. This is how you're supposed to be. So I think like Shame's like kind of like jittery and scared, but like very like manicured, right? Like very put together in the way, I don't know, society would expect Shame to look.
I got 2 things I want to say. The
Shame doesn't want to rock the boat, bro. Go on, tell me the 2 things.
You really wanted to say that, didn't you? Dude, I just remember working with Jose and have him being like, at some point in our session later down the road, it was like, we're talking about the ego. And now I feel like he tried to get me to like name it. Like it was a character.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, bro.
Okay, bro.
Talk
about
easy, boy. I'm not like, what do you mean name it? I don't like this bullshit, you know? But it's crazy now that I'm farther along in the process with him and myself. And I'm like, I see now that it is like another person that exists inside me.
It's wild. We contain multitudes. Talk about the beginning of sessions with Jose.
Okay, for those of you who are interested too.
Jose is a genius, dude.
I love him so much, dude. But for those of you who are interested in like the style he does, it's called somatic therapy, which is
somatic experiencing.
Somatic experiencing, right. Can you give like a short description of what that would be?
Yeah, if I were to say I experienced fear. Fear is just a label. It's literally a name we give to a whole mix of physiological sensations in our body. So I'm like feeling like shortness of breath and like tightness in my shoulders. I'm like, maybe I'm like more, my muscles are more reactive. And given the context, what? This? Given the context.
I'm missing my pants.
Given the context.
I'm a kid.
I call that fear. But when you can say, oh, I have like shortness of breath and like tightness in my chest and shoulders and I'm a little, then I don't actually have to make it mean anything. I can say, okay, my body is reacting to the environment, but then I'm not absorbed in the emotion. I can acknowledge that the emotion is actually just like a physiochemical response in my body that I still get to choose through. Game changer.
Yeah, there's a couple of interesting like techniques that I've learned from my time with him as well. And one of them was like, I think a lot of times when I was frustrated or feeling depressed or mad, I just like instantly threw it down the tunnel of the narrative of how I describe that thing or how it makes me feel rather than, and I think this is what I love about doing sessions with him, where it's like really being still, which first of all, as an athlete I've recognized is a hard task.
Oh yeah.
Doing nothing is very, very hard.
For everyone, not just athletes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, for sure. No, it's got to be unique to me.
You're so special.
No.
You're so special, Taylor.
I'm the only one who deals with it. No, but it's...
No one understands my plight.
Yeah, dude. That word's too big for me, but I laughed anyways. You know what I mean?
Bro, it's like 5 letters.
Yeah, and yet it's too big for me, dude. Actually, that makes me mad that you said that word. Good. Give me a synonym for that word.
Does it make you mad, or are you experiencing physiological sensations in your body given the context?
I'm going to close my eyes for a second. I'm going to tap into my innards.
Jose would be so proud of us right now.
He would, dude. And it's crazy.
I'm going to send him this.
Dude, he actually has helped me understand myself on such an incredibly deeper level than I think I ever could have done with like traditional talk therapy. Because like you, I can imagine we can talk forever. This podcast could probably be 6 hours.
Bro,
you know what I mean?
The genius of Jose though is, I don't know how he did with you, but with me, he let me do talk therapy.
We have sessions that are like that. And now I feel like he's recognized that I've caught on.
Yeah.
And I like go in there like, hey, Jose.
Oh, bro. You're ahead of me then, because it took me like, I don't know, 6 months. And he was like, I've noticed we're talking about the same thing over and over again. Would you be open to trying another modality?
Well, you know what's interesting is like I'm happy that I get to meet with him in person, by the way, because when I go to his space. It's like, it smells great. It like is clean. It's nice. The AC's on. It's hot out here. And I've recognized, so many sessions I leave, I'm like, I don't want to leave.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm actually, because there's so much stillness and I'm like the most vulnerable I can be with myself because I have someone who's holding me accountable, like a good coach, you know, that I'm actually able to access myself on a deeper level. And I'm now learning how to integrate some of those things that I feel like can only be done when we're like, can you just be around? Like, can I have a little Jose on my shoulder who's just there? I mean, I literally told him like a couple sessions ago, I'm like, damn, dude, I feel like I wish I could just like have you in my pocket, you know? And now I'm learning that like, I will be capable of experiencing something and going through a similar process without being, because you know, like I'm like, damn, I wish there was a time where I'm frustrated at practice and I can just like click a button and everyone freezes and I'm sent directly to the room and I can just allow myself to feel, work through it, move past it. Yep. Anyways, the thing I was trying to say a little bit earlier was like, for the first time in some way, I've created a different connection with how things make me feel. And one thing like that's new to me is like, for example, yeah, I remember, you know, part of his therapy was like, close your eyes and like, just feel what comes up. Mm-hmm. And so I'd like, at first, you know, I'm familiar with meditation, that type of thing too. So I know how to go in, you know? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I remember being like, some tightness in my chest. And he'd be like, what shape is it? And I'd be like, what shape is it, bro? Yeah. And then he would say shit like, if it could speak, what would it say? Yeah. And I remember in the beginning, I was like, shout out to USA Volleyball, who actually helps a lot of the athletes and is covering a lot of the therapy for me, which is fantastic because I don't know if I would have paid out of pocket for it. And I'm now would pay. We'll hopefully work with him until he dies, assuming he'll die before me.
I don't know. Dude, he might be
probably not, dude.
He might be 900 years old.
He could be, dude.
He could be really Yoda.
Strange. 100%. But I just remember like really feeling like I was struggling to understand what the fuck was happening. I was like, dude, I'm such an I considered myself such an open-minded person. I was like, why am I having, like, it felt woo-woo-y or like, hey, I want you to enter this. And almost like the things we talked about earlier were like, I think I'm coming to learn too that like cringe is okay. Yeah.
Kill not the cringe, kill that within you which cringes.
Yeah, sure. You know, like to your point, I still will see certain things on the internet and I'm like, this is crazy that this exists.
It's crazy.
You know? And then there's, you know, maybe cringe or corny is there for a reason sometimes, you know? Mm-hmm. Anyways, I just remember like my growth with that. My first session was like, I don't like any of this and just want to talk. And now I'm at a point where it's like, when I feel something, I actually can ask it sometimes, like, what do you want? Yeah. Or I'll just like, if I'm mad, I'll like close my eyes and be mad. Like actually, in order for me to access it, I'm at the point where I have to be like, like with my eyes closed, you know, like, but genuinely be like, I'm fucking mad.
I can just imagine being at practice with you and I look over and you're like,
hold on, guys. But it's it really is crazy how like for someone like me who considers himself such a logical, rational person. And that's the narrative that's guided most of my life. I'm now like surrendering a little bit to like, maybe I've been wrong and maybe it's time to allow the deeper version of me to like speak up without getting too like woo-woo-y. And I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm hating what I'm seeing, but I'm liking that I'm vulnerable enough to do it. You know?
I'm loving that you're vulnerable enough to do it.
And thank you for that connection. I mean, that was...
Well, thank you for trusting me so much.
He's more than a coach, dude. He's well connected.
But honestly, like, I appreciate you trusting me enough that when the ideas that or the suggestions that Jose was making sounded weird, and you're like, oh, Kevin said it worked for him. I'm gonna give it a shot. So I appreciate that, and I think you're getting the benefits of that now. But I think it's interesting. You know, we're so indoctrinated in rationalism, and look, I think like being rational is super powerful. And when we say like this deeper version of myself, the reality is like we're running our body largely with our brains, and our brains are still a part of our body, but our brains
not my body.
Yeah, no, you got it in a jar in the other room. Bring it out here, bro.
Doesn't seem like it's being run by this brain too well.
You know what I'm saying? But the reality is like, all of the matter and systems in our body can have wisdom, not just our brain. Like our body can know what to do in ways that our brain cannot process. And ever since I've leaned all the way into that, and like when we say like my intuition or my instincts, like I do think there's like a cooler, like, I don't know, bigger cosmic thing there. But I also think like we're underestimating how magical our bodies are and their capacity for knowing what we want. I read this book called The Dorrito Effect, about how there was, 30, 40, 50 years ago, whatever it is now, Doritos came out with the taco flavor chip. And that was like the start of taking a bunch of junk food that's just corn and soy and flavoring it differently. And the impact on health was that there in the book, they talk about this study that these scientists did with like a bunch of kids at a orphanage, and they were going to test the kids' capacity for like nutritional intelligence, meaning would they crave the things they needed? And so they took the kids off all this like soy and corn based flavored stuff that like separates nutrition and flavor, and then only gave them the most like whole foods and things that taste like what they are. And then like these kids would get like an illness that required fish oil to remedy for the body to like solve for itself, and they would desperately crave the disgusting fish oil for like 6 days, and then once they were cured, they would be like repulsed by the fish oil. So like even in a way like that directly, our taste buds are looking for things that our bodies have learned have the nutrients we need in order to like solve whatever's going on in us.
We can all agree though that fish oil is probably the worst pill to have to take.
That and garlic pills, I think, and I love garlic, but like the garlic burps that come up after that.
Yeah. I've never taken garlic pills.
Yeah, good luck.
But I tell you what, dude, my girlfriend loves garlic. Yeah? I tried to put a cut on that.
Sure would be great if she came out here and popped by this podcast.
Why'd you take garlic? I mean, garlic's supposed to be super good for you in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, this was before I was really much of a critical thinker. As someone probably said I should do it.
Dude, you know what? You said critical thinker, and I'm starting to think now that me thinking less is probably serving me better.
I think it's an arc. I think like you have to learn to become a critical thinker, but then once you have the skill of critical thinking, because you've got to, I think you're still thinking critically in what you're doing with Jose because you give it a chance and then you pay attention to the benefits or the impacts. And your critical thinking is telling you, oh, that was weird, but it seems to be doing good for me. So maybe in the future, I should stay open to weird stuff and just pay attention. What's the impact? Is it positive? Is it negative? Do I want to do it again or not? So you're still employing your critical thinking. You're just opening yourself up to some things that don't make perfect rational sense right up front, maybe.
And I will say it brings up two things I think are interesting. The first, specifically with my experience with Jose. And I think about if I was paying for it myself financially, I probably would have stopped only if that was paired with you didn't give me the recommendation. So what that shows me, I've learned a lot of things. The first one about money and how I spend money now. And what I realized, especially after working with you and Jose, where like I just want to arrive to a point where the money doesn't matter and I can just follow the people that the universe is telling me, like, this guy has something to teach you. You have something to learn from this person. And that to me, I think has been what I've realized is we're all twisted up. Not to saying like there's something to be said if like you can't afford things and you're, tight on money, or like when I was in college, I didn't have shit, like I get that. But I definitely feel now like so grateful to be in a position where I can think about what's going to serve me best first. And when I hear now people, I remember when I had set my prices for one-on-one mentorship stuff, which by the way, I have a link in my bio if you're interested in filling out.
Click it.
But I remember being like, Kevin, that's way too much money. No one's going to want to do this, dude. And you just helping me better understand, like, what is my actual value, And then it's interesting now when I hear people, like with clients that I have and have worked with, who were like, they weren't concerned with the money because they saw the value I brought. It made me realize, like, oh, those are the people I want to work with anyways. And now it's like when I see someone even with like, for example, the Middle Blocker Academy, like the first month is $25 and you still get people who are like, I can't afford it, I can't, whatever. It's just like, it makes me sad. And on the other hand, now you've gotten me to a point, I think, where I'm really comfortable being like, oh, those people just don't have it. They don't get it yet. You know, they don't get that, like, they're not willing to invest in themselves yet. And so I guess the 2 points were my relationship with money since meeting you has changed.
Boom, baby.
And it's also shown me how important accountability is. Like, having an accountability in this example is having someone you really trust. Like, I didn't even really know. I didn't Google you. Like, I found you through Dustin.
Sucker.
And he was like, he's great. I had like 2 or 3 conversations, probably from our first conversation, was like, I feel like we would be buddies. This guy's fucking sick. Like, automatically bought in, you know? And I don't know. I would love to hear, I guess, your opinion on those 2 things that I just said.
Let me check the notes.
Like, you know what I mean? Because now it almost makes me sad when I see people like haggling, or it's changed the way, like, for example, if I want to go to the store and get the regular eggs versus the farm raised, and I'm like, $2, like, let's just get the regular one or something. And now I'm like, what the fuck? Why am I nickeling and diming myself? I want the higher quality thing because it's going to serve me better as a person and make me happier in some way, or more. I'm going to grow more from doing this, probably physically, from getting that farm raised shit and not that fucking mechanical Tyson nugget. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot in this that I love. The first thing, like, in my opinion, that I have a responsibility to say is, like, easy for us to say as, like, privileged ass white boys. And, like, I know in a lot of ways that's, like, not a popular, but it's true, dude. Like, for me to be able to coach CEOs, especially when I was starting in my career, I had to, like, look a certain way. You know, like, if I was a black trans woman, I would have had a much harder time getting into my business. Sure. I would have had to do a lot more proving before someone was going to trust me. And that, like, breaks my heart on the regular. So when we talk about money, like, there is a divide of, like, there's a certain level of privilege that we should acknowledge and go, like, well, you know, not everyone is at or even can get to that level. But at this level, it is interesting. I think a lot of it comes from, and I shouldn't say level, but, like, at this level of privilege, a lot of it comes from, we live in an authority society. We're always looking for an authority. Who's the authority? Who's in charge? This is up to who's in charge. When you start believing in yourself, then you trust that you can find new ways to make money. I mean, the authority society goes all the way to, I've got to get a job so I get a paycheck that comes every 2 weeks. And look, I'll tell you what, entrepreneurship is not for everybody. It can be brutal. It can be, like, truly brutal. But it is also freedom. And freedom is typically pretty brutal.
And by the way, I'm with you on the privilegedness.
Yeah.
100%. I attest to being a privileged white suburban kid.
Yeah.
And I also want to say that, like, you know, my first contract playing professionally in Italy was $25K. Like, even the money I've made since I started working with you, I pay you a third of my salary. You know what I mean? Like, I think I totally agree with what you're saying. And I think there's also something that I'm learning where it's like, and my job isn't secure, by the way, you know, like, I'm going to probably retire here soon. Like, you know, and it freaks me out, but I am in a position right now where I'm like, keep investing in yourself.
Totally.
And by investing in yourself, that means investing in who you spend your time with, who you choose to, like, seek out for guidance, what shows you watch, what podcasts you watch, like, whatever it is. And that stuff ultimately will bring you so much more value and give you the tools you need to succeed on your own later in the future.
Absolutely. You know? And I agree with all of that. I think, like, the problem with the privilege piece is to be like a white suburban kid means, like, we have a level of safety that a lot of people who are not white don't have and don't experience growing up in their lives. Had an interesting experience. I was at my buddy's ranch last week, and he has a mule, which is one of these, like, insane, it's like a souped up golf cart basically that's, like, made for a ranch.
Not a donkey.
Not an actual, no.
Just to be clear, mules and donkeys aren't the same.
A mule is
They're not the same?
Combo between a donkey and a horse, I think.
Okay.
Something like that. But no, this was not a biological animal.
Okay.
It's like
a scientific experiment.
No, it's like no. It's like a super, like, goes over the hills, 4x4 like ranch
Got it.
vehicle.
Okay.
And he was driving it. He was like trying to show me how fun it is to like go down and up these hills at insane amounts of speed. And I was like, it was not pleasant for me. And the reason largely it wasn't pleasant for me is because I've done this work with Jose. So I'm tuned in to what's happening physiologically in my body. Whereas before I'd be like a tough guy and like, but now because I'm so tuned in, the sensations in my body were so overwhelmingly scary and negative. I was like, dude, I'm sorry, but I need you to not do that anymore. And he's like, you don't trust me? And I was like, logically, I trust you, but I've done this work that's got me in a place where now my body responds to things like that. And I sense it, and it just feels terrible. It doesn't feel good to go through. And I bring that up in the context of privilege, because if you grow up in a difficult neighborhood where you are unsafe because of both the police and gang violence, you're steeled against you to survive. You have to not feel those sensations in your body. And so even a lot of the progress we're talking about right now is a function of the privilege of the safety of being able to tune in to what we feel in our body. But if you grew up as a kid laying in your bed, I went to Colombia this year and I took a tour, and this guy grew up in Medellin talking about 6 years old, walking to school, seeing the violence of Pablo Escobar's Colombia. That guy, to survive, has a very different relationship with the You can't, if you feel those physiological responses that naturally happen as a function, forget about it.
Yeah.
Forget about it. So like, I don't mean to bring the mood down. I guess I do actually mean to bring the mood down. Like,
I think it's helpful.
It's important to acknowledge.
It is. And I think what it shows me in hearing you say that is like, we get so lost in us being the center of the world.
Yep.
That it's easy to forget.
Yep.
And I think it's the same where it's like, dude, how many people I try to get on like social media now, you just gotta start posting stuff. Like, dude, I just had a conversation with a buddy who does like food production or like started his own food sourcing kind of situation. And he was telling me how he like comes into like, he sees the funniest like situations or has to have these like serious proper conversations, email, like just like hilarious shit. I'm like, dude, you should start like a TikTok or an Instagram, like start growing, because it'll help you also be able to reach out and get more clients. Like I think a lot of people are missing out on doing that. There's so much opportunity there. Yep. What did that have to do with privilege?
Look, I'll tell you this. I believe in what you're saying about changing money beliefs. So for instance, when people say, are you good with money? They typically mean, do you budget and stick to your budget well? I've developed a business where I can change the top line, meaning instead of worrying about budgeting, I just go make more money if I want another thing or like another experience, or I need to add an expense. So I think that's all true. And I think it's really important for people like us to go, wow, pretty lucky that we get this like special spot in society where that's true. Because I think for a lot of people, it's a lot more difficult to make that true. It's not just as easy as like change your beliefs. You know what I mean?
And I think that was the point I was trying to make, was that like, I think a lot of times I'm like, oh, I see this working in what I do. Try this. This should work for you. And like, not everyone has that same opportunity to just do that.
Yeah. And I think even there are privileged people who have a different relationship with risk. I think it has a lot to do with how risk averse, like how like, ooh, I don't want to risk, versus like how risk tolerant, I think are the words that psychologists use, where like, yeah, I'm down to take a risk. And the more you're willing to take a risk, the less fear you have about the outcome. Look, sometimes I think you and I have both experienced in our lives, I wish I had a little more fear about the outcome in a couple situations.
For sure.
You know what I mean? But then it has its upsides as well. And so it's, you know, it's different. It's different for everybody, but I will agree with you wholeheartedly. When you try it out and it works, it feels like magic. It is magic. It just is magic. Like we just kind of get to live magic, and it's pretty special.
Second part of that, actually, you know what? Forget it, dude. The agenda is gone. No, I was.
What's on the notes?
No, don't look at the notes, dude. Don't look at the notes. I'll show you the notes.
I can't read those notes anyway,
That's
bro.
Right, dude. I read them special. Only I can read them. No, but I did.
Did you ever go on the Indiana Jones ride at Disneyland?
That's hilarious.
You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know, but I do know that it exists.
Because they have these like inscriptions in the walls.
Holographics.
Ooh,
Whoa,
the future.
dude.
And they give you a little card when they first open the ride.
It's Hieroglyphics.
Hieroglyphics, yeah. But they were like,
you didn't catch it either, dude. That's
no,
hilarious.
hologlyphics. I liked it. I thought it was fun and exciting.
Okay.
I've heard of hieroglyphics a million times.
Okay,
Hologlyphics, this is the first time I ever heard of it.
Me too.
And so while you were in 2 hours in the line, you'd figure out what all the things meant. Brilliant.
Whoa.
It's like, that's like what you did there.
Except this will be a lot easier to figure out, dude, and will still make no sense to you. I did want to bring up a little bit of like, which I think we've already more or less touched on, but this idea of like bringing, and I think you resonate more with, let's say, Eastern philosophy. Is it fair to say that? And I think so do I, and I think we have that in common. And I think it's also for me, like someone who I feel like resonates existentially in some ways. I'm more bought in to those things, my own bias in that way. But how do you think like you're able to incorporate like your beliefs, not to like label them, but just for the sake of this conversation, like a little more Eastern beliefs into like a very Western business world? Because in some way they're like opposites, and you found a way to incorporate them, I don't know, seamlessly into like your work. And also I feel like I'm learning how to take some of those things and also find a way, because like an example I would bring up that maybe isn't related, but that was also written down, was like being salesy, you know?
Yeah.
And that was like the more Eastern side of me of just kind of like, I don't want to be selling magic. I'm not selling magic bean. I don't like being salesy feels weird, you know? It feels like everything I hate seeing on the internet. And then the other side of it is like, but if I don't sell it, who's going to buy it? You know, like how do you manage that?
Yeah, so that I can tackle. The sales one I can tackle pretty easy, because as long as you make a product that serves a person's life, you better sell the shit out of it, right? If you know that the thing you do or make or the service you provide, whatever, is going to meaningfully improve someone's life, and you're not selling it to someone like it's the cure for cancer, what are you doing? That you're putting your own discomfort ahead of service of your customer when you do that. Now, I think part of the reason you struggled with that is because you were still easing into letting your personality be part of your product. And the power of your personality being part of the product is someone could connect with that and feel at home with you. And so they would better access the expertise that you had. But when we talk about Eastern versus Western, it's pretty easy to convince people because, and I'm going to get the terminology wrong here, but Western philosophies take the like constructed view of reality, whereas Eastern philosophies take the organic view. The constructed view being like, God made this universe. It got put together. These things are assembled like a machine. We take the parts, the constituent parts, and go boop and bolt them on. There we go. I made a car. The Eastern philosophy, the organic philosophy, is this seed was in the ground and all of reality came out of the seed. And so everything that you need is inside you, is the Eastern philosophy, whereas the Western philosophy and the authority and authoritarian philosophy is, everything comes from outside you, you're put together, and you get that quality from your creator, right? Like think about our relationship with AI or like robots and iRobot or whatever, which the fact that movie was called iRobot and now you can buy a Zumba that's called iRobot is just the wildest. You got one?
We got one of those little
Can you
fuckers
summon it?
around.
I don't know how that works.
iRobot.
And so the problem with the constructor view is leaders, especially when I'm working with business leaders, are trying to construct their business. They're trying to control and build their business. And they realize, like, if they're working like a fucking crazy person, they have 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week to work. And as their business scales, they're like, there's not enough time.
Do you ever feel like that's a front or like a... Like you found a way to trick yourself into being like, I'm not necessarily just saying you particularly, but like that people use that as a front of like, yeah, well, we're doing this great thing. It's about the great thing. And really they're just like reaping in money, because I think a lot of people, especially who don't have money, see that side more than someone who's wholeheartedly offering a product, or me offering like academy or like one-on-one, like really wanting to help, because I really do. And sometimes because I'm too aware of it, I'm like, oh God, I sounded salesy. They're probably going to think.
Yes. No. So spot on. But there's a reason that founders that are doing that do that, is because they saw people with an Eastern orientation, with an organic orientation, where it was true for them. It's their true mission. And that works. We got to try and do that. But ultimately what I see happen is you just can't construct enough. You don't have enough time and you don't have enough attention. And so then these founders burn out and they go, this is terrible. These leaders burn out. They say, I hate this. No amount of money is worth the way I'm sacrificing my life. And I say, you willing to try a different way? What if you just decided what was important in your life, how you're going to spend your time, relationships you want to invest in, time you want to spend alone, things you want to do that you just enjoy, and then all the time left over, you run your business with that. And they're like, well, how will they get all this done? I say, you won't. You got to rely on your team to get things done. And now it's inside out, where you're letting the team achieve it. And you're going, hey, this is the end game. See this document? 6 months from now, this is what success looks like. We've crafted a compelling vision of the future. You're brilliant. You have the brilliance inside of you. It doesn't come from my leadership and authority outside in. You have the brilliance inside of you. So go figure it out. And honestly, the hardest part is people go, I don't actually have the brilliance inside of me. I have, and this happens a lot with women. Women are like convinced they don't know the answer. I have 2 clients right now. We'll
start with male privilege. Let's talk about that first.
I'm all about. We are going to get through it all. We're going to get uncanceled by the end of this thing. I have two clients who are women who I'll be like, what would it look like if we had $1 million a month? And they're like, I don't know. And I said, take a shot. Just take a guess. What might it look like? We can't. We would have to, first we'd have to change this, and then we'd have to update that. And then like this, we'd have to do differently. And I said, you just said the plan. You know it. You just said the plan, but you're so convinced you don't know it. And so honestly, when my clients are women, a lot of times they're just more fun because you just have to talk them into what they already know. Whereas like us dudes, it's not. It's
a nightmare.
We're not on that level, bro. Sorry.
I think this brings me into like wanting to talk about like a little bit where we're at now, like you and I and our process, of working together, and like to that exact point of being like, I feel like I've reached a stage where, and correct me if I'm wrong, where I feel like I know the amount of actual work it now takes to get the certain things I want done in a way that I would want them done.
Yep.
And as someone who's still in his career playing and trying to like people don't recognize how much work, like even doing this podcast, like no one's paying me. I have no sponsors right now, like no one's paying me to do this. I just keep trying to put them out with academy stuff, keep trying to put in videos with one-on-one stuff, keep trying to put it out there. And I definitely had a point that was like really hitting the nail on the head.
It's going to be profound. What are you feeling in your body?
Here's what, okay. Oh yeah, let me close my eyes. What was I trying to say, dude? Access it. What I was trying to say is, to your point about understanding and coming up with the plan and knowing what it takes, I feel like I've also reached a stage where I'm like, you know what? I'm accepting that I know I could do more. I'm tired of, as an athlete at least, like shaming myself that I could be doing more, because it's not for a while. And I think this was a big reason why I felt so much anxiety and depression overseas. And even when I first got back here, where it's like working with Kevin now, he got me all excited in the beginning. We're doing all these new things. Like it's uncomfortable, but in like a great way, because I'm seeing myself grow. And then it reached a point of like, I think I'm stretching myself too thin. And I don't think that's an excuse, because I think a lot of things I said to you, especially early on and probably to this day, were just excuses for not doing the work that were very simple things. And I think it's this, for me, it was like this beautiful realization of like, I'm okay with the amount of money I'm making currently and the amount of energy I'm expending on these things, because I want to have 2 hours to randomly decide to go on a date with my girlfriend, or to like watch the dog, or to hang out with some friends. I want that luxury right now, rather than I told myself I would every Thursday I was going to do a podcast. I got to do it right now, and I feel like I'm found like a nice balance where it's like, yeah, I could do so much more. This could be such a better experience. Well,
and it's so much fun to watch you doing the hard thing while you're still learning, right? So you're like, and I know this is just excuses. No, fuck that. It's not just excuses. You have had the courage to decide and via action. You've done this via action, where your values lie right now. And you're going, no, actually, this is as much as I want to do. Like I'm good with this. And there's still that outside in of like, oh, I should be, this is just an excuse. I should. And you're letting go of that. And you're going, there is actually no should that I should or shouldn't be doing. There's what I want to do. And there was one thing I wanted to do when I started this coaching program. And then I did a lot of the things I needed to do, and I saw how much success I got from those things. And I have a good sense of how many more things I need to have more financial success. And that's not how I want to spend my time right now. And there's always this background of like, oh, so you're lazy? Are you a quitter?
Right.
No, it's the opposite. You're courageous. You're willing to go inside yourself and say, okay, I'm going to reference my own desire, what feels right to me, and then I'm going to trust it. And dude, most people will never get there. Most people will never. They'll be 70 years old and they're not there.
And it was hard to bring up to you. I remember just feeling like it was hard to bring up because I was like, I think for a lot of our work together, I'm sure you get this with other clients.
Not just you, bro. You're special.
A lot of sessions begin with me coming up with excuses for why I didn't do the thing that was so fucking easy to do. You know, like coming up with 1,000 excuses. And I feel like that's its own topic also. Just like, it's so interesting to me how now the solution for a lot of the problems we have are so simple. And a lot of times we say like, oh, I don't have the time or I couldn't, but just making out. And dude, I mean, to this day, I remember in the very beginning, it was like, okay, you're going to do a podcast. When are you going to do it? And I was like, Kevin, who fucking cares? I said I'll do it next week. And you're like, what day next week? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know who it's with yet. You know, you're like, give me a day. I'm like, all right, fucking Tuesday, 6:00. Never did anything on any time I ever wrote Tuesday, 6:00. But it did teach me, and you said this before, where it's like, when you have practice tomorrow and you show up and it starts at 9, like when was the last time you were late to practice? And I was like, never, like almost never. It's like finding a way to still show up. And another switch we made was like, okay, rather than, even though you know you have 2 hours to do this podcast or whatever it is, how about we get you at 20 minutes? Can you do a 20-minute podcast? Like starting me really small. And I remember not wanting to because I'm like, no, it needs to be this and it's got to take this. And it also just taught me like, dude, don't overcomplicate things, but have enough respect for yourself and the vision of what you're doing to show up to the things that you say you're going to do, recognizing that like, yeah, sometimes you're not going to show up and that's okay. And I think that was hard because I was like, had these things in the calendar. I never showed up. Then I'd shame myself for being like, it was so easy, Taylor. It was fucking 5 minutes, you know? And then, dude, you were basically cradling me like a little baby where you're like,
a giant baby.
Okay, so you have to sales stuff and we know that's not fun for you. So why don't we do 5 minutes of creative writing before you enter, you know? And me just like,
No. See, that's you still operating from that shame lens, right? Because I think like the number one most important thing to me right now in our relationship is that you even just like experiment with fully accepting and let's even say celebrating yourself for being in such deep touch with your values, with what actually matters to you. We say values and we say things like grit, but I mean literally how you value your time and how you spend it and your attention. You're at the point now where you're like, I like this balance. And I'm not supposed to like this balance societally because I'm not making $1 billion every year. But despite all that pressure, and it's still that pressure's still in you, that little voice is still chirping. That's why you're saying, you got to cradle me like a baby. That's a shame lens. No, you should be proud that you are, and you should be celebrating yourself, that you are going, okay, well, I tried it, and I don't want to do more than this right now. I like this balance. This is just right for me. And that might change in the future, and I'm open to that. But for right now, I'm going to, on my own authority, stick with this. It's fucking big time, bro.
You know, at the beginning of this podcast, we said we were going to do this toboggan style.
We didn't do it. We kept forgetting. I'd love to be
flying down the mountain on toboggan with you right now, buddy. That's so sweet and cute of you, you know?
I think we are, like, spiritually.
All right. That's pretty good, dude. I wrote Listen to the Muppets.
Mussants?
It was supposed to be Mussants. Which is your Instagram title, by the way.
Yeah, it's Listen for the Mussants, which is an adaptation.
My God. Listen to the Muppets, dude.
Okay, I'm listening to them.
No, okay, anyway.
No, so Shel Silverstein wrote a poem called Listen to the Mussants. Listen to the Mussants, child. Listen to the don'ts. Listen to the shouldn'ts, the impossibles, the won'ts. Listen to the never haves. Then listen close to me. Anything can happen, child. Anything can be.
Dr. Seuss? Who did that?
Shel Silverstein, baby. A Light On in the Attic, Where the Sidewalk Ends. Those are two of his books. Johnny Cash had a song called A Boy Named Sue. You ever heard that song?
No.
Shel Silverstein wrote it. Listen to it. You're going to love it.
Okay.
You're going to love this song. I swear, I promise you.
The title alone had me spinning, you know?
And it's just like, the mustn'ts are, oh, I mustn't decide I want to slow down and just keep this balance of life right now. Oh, I mustn't do that weird dream of mine to go become a line cook at a restaurant. I mustn't do, I mean, you know, sorry kids out there, but like I mustn't quit volleyball because it's important. My parents said I'm a volleyball player. I'm not trying to get everybody to quit, but like if it's not true in you, it's not true in you. And so my Instagram handle is listen for the mustn'ts, which is like keep an eye out for like, is this a mustn't? Is this a thing the world is telling me I need to have or not have or shouldn't do or should do that's not true in me? And so the idea is like, and that's why become ungovernable is so important, because you don't need that outside in authority. Like, don't hurt other people. Don't interrupt other people's personhood and their ability to be themselves. But like, do you, man? And it's scary and it's hard and you will get ridiculed. You will get put down. People that are too scared to be themselves will come for you and it's worth it.
Kevin, motivational speaker. Dude.
Boom, baby.
Well, for those out there who are too afraid to do it alone, where can they hear more about you, buddy?
KevinCape.com, baby. I will actually, maybe I should plug a thing. Can I plug a thing?
Yeah, definitely.
So this literally went live 10 minutes before we started this podcast.
Whoa.
dogoodwork.com. WERK. dogoodwork.com.
With you.
Like work. Like that, but I mean, not copyright infringement or anything, but the idea is it's like a...
You put your legs on the wall, hands on the floor.
Yeah.
That's how you start.
Pop it,
a lot of people want to start
and you pop it.
Working, you know, straight from the hands on the knees.
Rookies.
That's not...
Rookies.
100%.
So it's like a community where if you have some result you want to produce in the future, like this is a community of self-leadership, leading each other and support, including like automations, tools, and templates to lead yourself and lead others. We think that the big mistake we make in America is that we like lop off so much richness and time of our life for work. And this is a community that goes, hey, work needs to serve life. And we're all here in support of one another with tools and practices on how to do it.
Also, how cute is it that the sun is setting as
it's romantical
this podcast, dude. But I will make one last comment on how much you talk about being ungovernable, but like I think for me it's not forgetting how important community is in that process, right?
Absolutely.
Because like I know for myself, wanting to take on a podcast and want to do all these things, and all right, I don't want to have to like call to anyone, to your point of like I could never work a 9 to 5, like I don't want that life. And then realizing, oh well, if I want to do all of it alone, all of it, I have only my own head to say I like that or I don't like that. And a lot of times I'm wrong. I need a third opinion or an outside opinion. On top of, I don't want to do all this work. On top of, I'm triple stacking right now. On top of, it's so much more fun. And for me, I would actually say so much more efficient to do it with people I like, you know? And that's what I'm learning. I feel like I'm still in the beginning of that process, right? It's like, if you want to work with someone on this project, they get a cut. And in my head, I was like, the fuck, they're getting that percent and I'm doing all of this? Like I have this, I should be, why don't I just do this on my own? And then you try to take on too many things and you're like, this is exhausting and I'm alone. And like, this isn't cultivating a healthy lifestyle, you know? So I guess I'm just throwing that out there, that like this idea of community, especially as a player who's alone overseas for 8 months, like I couldn't value community more than I ever have in my life at this point right now. And especially now with like the new ventures and things I'm taking on. So I think that's cool that you're starting your own community and it's not just little me, you know, get to talk with Kevin.
I'll do one more cheesy. It's just like, even you saying that is you doubling down on what's right for you, right? Because there's a lot of like the business culture that's like bootstrap it, grind it out yourself. You don't need and you're going,
Shark Tank, dude.
Yeah,
all
exactly.
That stuff is like...
And you're going, yeah, no, I just like it better. Oh, but that's not okay. It's not good for you maybe, but for me, I like it better. I just like doing it with other people better. And that's how I'm doing it from now on. Like,
yeah, Yeah, and I think the other part of that that's like not like financials aside is just like how much more motivating it is to do the work when you have someone holding you accountable, like how much more work you actually get done. And this isn't for everyone. I'm sure there's people who are the absolute grinders who can wake up and stick to their schedule. I was not. I already have a job. I was kind of like, these are extra things, you know? But like how much more willing I am to show up to things, when I have someone like you who is holding me accountable, but then also people who I was working on projects with. It's like it's more exciting to do it with someone. And I feel like, to your point, like we are in this culture of like bootstrap, do it all on your own, like wake up at night. I mean, that was like one of the first things where like I was really hooked on you, where you were like talking about how like, you know, you see all this like wake up at 4, you do your cold shower, then you go meditate, then you run, then like, and you're just like, doesn't have to be that way. And I was like, I always thought the same thing, dude. Like, not to say there's no value in doing those things, and I'm sure they do a great job of sticking to the things they say they're going to do, but it's just recognizing that, like, at least who I am right now, I don't want to do that. And I can find my way of doing it in whatever production means to me, or being productive means to me. So thank you for teaching me about myself, dude. I absolutely love you so much. Truly.
Likewise, bro. I love you so much.
Yeah, happy we got to, like, this is also like our 3rd time meeting in person. Like, yeah. So that's cool.
We were at a Dodger game before.
That's right.
What was the other one?
Came to New York to see you with Anthony.
Oh, that was fun.
We went to, what's that meat, that deli? That deli was real good.
Katz's.
That was nice.
They have a slogan, send a salami to your boy in the Army.
Aww. Too bad I don't know anyone in the Army.
I'll send you a shirt. I feel like you'd appreciate that.
Yeah, I will, dude. Send it to me.
Maybe I'll send you a salami.
Now let's go suck down noodles at Pine and Crane.
Pine and Crane. Are any of these businesses going to sponsor us?
Yeah, I think there's this new community opening up. They were talking about wanting a partnership.
Your eyes said us.
You want to do this every week with me, dude?
I live here now.
That'd be sick. Yeah, but I appreciate the sponsorship offer. I'll have to look it over, and I'll talk to my business coach and get back to you.
Okay, sounds good. You have to come at some point. You have to come do part 2 with me in New York.
That would be fun.
Sick.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny. Like, I do a handful of these interviews, and there's certain people where it's just easy to do them. And I keep being like, I should get new guests. And then sometimes, and we'll let the people decide. I'm like, I should just keep doing part 2s and part 3s with people that I think are fucking interesting, you know?
Taylor didn't ask me. I had to invite myself into the podcast, everybody.
Yeah, that was a great idea. And I think I would have come up with a million excuses not to do it. And if there's one thing I've learned from you, it's let's just fucking do it.
Boom, baby.
Let us learn on the fly. Speaking of flies, dude, we got flies flying around all over the place. I don't know if you saw a couple. No. We have this like tennis racket that's electric. It's my favorite thing ever.
Have you? There's like a bug bite itch scratcher that uses electricity.
Bug bite itch scratcher. What are you talking about?
So if you have a bug bite,
so you can hold a bug down and scratch it, or what, dude?
No, if it bites you, if a mosquito bites you and flies away, it's like a little electrical pen that like shocks your bug bite. Feels so good, dude.
And it gets rid of the itch?
Where's the puppy? I haven't seen the puppy.
I have to go pick it up.
Wait,
really quick though. Does it get rid of the mosquito itch?
Oh yeah, like soothes it in a way you could never imagine.
Because that's life changing.
It's life changing, bro.
Dude, we went to.
They're cheap. It's like $14 on Amazon.
Oh my god! Do you know the name of it?
No.
Okay.
But then they'd sponsor us too.
I'm gonna look it up, dude.
Bro, I bet they would sponsor this episode for sure.
We went to Minnesota and recently, and like I just feel like mosquitoes love my blood, and I always get bit so much.
Same. I think we're type O.
Do they like type O?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's AB.
I couldn't get it to stop itching, and so someone there told me
to put an X in it.
The X technique.
Oh, dude, I'd be putting X's in mine.
Which isn't a fantastic strategy, but it's not bad.
It's not bad.
This sounds like it's way better.
I feel like we should always talk to each other with microphones.
Also, we said we would get a lot closer.
We never did it.
This is the closest we got.
We were going to move our chairs together, everybody. Like, periodically, so you would notice.
Toboggan would have been cool.
We shouldn't have said, cut that out, though.
What?
Because then we'll do it in part 2.
Toboggan. We need multiple cameras.
No, I just mean cut. I'm in. Cut out me saying that.
One from the side, one from the side. And when you go to talk to me, you actually just talk at the camera. So we'll pair them up like they're looking at each other.
Cinematography.
Cool.
Or leave it in, and then we'll do it in part 2, and like the real OGs will know.
I'm gonna dump this whole thing. We said a lot of things. I can't do it. This is 2 episodes I'm gonna get canceled for, dude. I don't know if I can afford
Bro, you're gonna get uncanceled. We talked about our privilege.
Yeah, you did. Well, really, it was just you doing all the talking about the privilege, me just being like,
I hope you learned
jumping on your back, like, yeah, whatever he said. like I'm an idiot, which I am. And you know what? We're all just living the best version of ourselves.
Too good.
You know?
Okay, let's go eat nudes.
Okay, I love you.